This super review is sponsored by our friends over at Verve. And if you still have not signed up for Verve yet for a free trial, check the link down below in the description and you gotta try it out, where you can watch not only Dragon Ball Super, but tons of other anime and live action TV shows as well as movies. It's a combination of Netflix, Crunchyroll, Funimation, and really some YouTube as well. And now streaming on Verve, Season 2 of Harmon Quest and Last Man, new episodes every Friday, plus tons of anime. Ultra Instinct Goku has returned once again to battle the fusion of Kefla and KO Kefla, and this week's episode continues that battle. Dragon Ball Super, episode 116. This is my review. I'm probably going to mess this one up because this is a hard one to pronounce, so please forgive me ahead of time. Alright, here we go. Yakte no Kitachi, Migate no Gokui Godai Bakops. It wasn't very good, but whatever. The English name for that is the Comeback Omen, Ultra Instinct's Great Explosion. Now, this episode really had one major storyline going for it. There wasn't a lot of big story elements here, except for one very big one, which I'm going to cover here in the review. But I know a lot of people are probably wondering, well, did they mention the death of Hiromi Tsuru? For those who don't know, Hiromi Tsuru, the voice of Bulma, passed away a couple of days ago. We did a charity stream here on the channel. All proceeds from that video, whether it be ad revenue or donations from you guys, are going to go directly to the Chris Ayres charity fund to help him get better. From one voice actor to another, I think it's the right thing to do. And I know some of you guys are wondering, including myself, we were like, well, okay, are they going to address this in Super? First of all, I want to say Dragon Ball Super is not going to end because Hiromi Tsuru passed away. They're going to recast Bulma. Now, as of right now, I don't know who is going to be the voice of Bulma. Couldn't tell you right now, but I'm sure we'll know at some point, okay? So Dragon Ball Super is not going to end because of that. That being said, though, during tonight's episode, at the very end, even after the Bandai promotional card, during the live Fuji TV broadcast of the episode, I'm not entirely sure if the Funimation and Crunchyroll versions will have this, or even the Blu-ray versions when they come out. I don't know. But at the very end of the live version, it's going to have, it has like a black screen with like white letters talking about the death of Hiromi Tsuru. So they did address it on the show at the very end. But remember, this episode of Super was produced weeks ago. So it's still a bit of a shock to a lot of people that she passed away. So let's get to the episode. So the story I was talking about earlier here, about what is the story of this episode. The story of this episode is Goku's evolution, I guess the word is. Goku's evolution inside of the Ultra Instinct form and what others think about it, you know, including those who are in the fight and outside of it. The whole episode, the real story of this episode, because the episode was pretty much focused entirely on Goku Ultra Instinct against Kefla. That was the whole episode. There was really no other fights being shown. Very few little things here and there, and Jiren waking up again, which is going to be very interesting to see where that goes. We're going to talk about that here in a moment, but the episode was just one big fight, and I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a fun fight. It was a Dragon Ball fight. It was a well done Dragon Ball fight. It was an exciting Dragon Ball fight. It was a crazy Dragon Ball fight. There are a couple things I took issue with, though, which I'm going to talk about here in a moment. So the opening shot, first of all, of the episode was incredible. It was the Ultra Instinct Goku with the violins. Dun, 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 dun. You know, the violins, right? I love that stuff. Goku goes up on this big plateau and he powers up. And it's a really impressive power up. Takes up some time in the episode. And I think this is the first time we actually hear Goku speaking in Ultra Instinct. I don't remember if he actually said anything when he was in the form before. In episode 110. I don't remember if he did. But he pretty much tells Kefla, yeah, you're not going to beat me now. Okay? You can't. And they once again bring up the fact that Goku's giving off a lot of heat, because it feels like his body is once again still not entirely ready for Ultra Instinct. And again, that's the story of the episode. Whis says that, you know, the fight with Kefla, because of how strong Kefla is, has once again pushed Goku to the limit so that he can unlock Ultra Instinct like the Genki Dama did before. So Kefla does her own little power up. Again, very impressive, really good stuff. Mountains get blown away. She goes Super Saiyan 2. I love the fact that Kefla is not afraid of Ultra Instinct Goku. I mentioned that last week. They had this really awesome shot of the two of them side by side on these mountains. The animation work for this episode was done by Yoichi Onishi and Shuichiro Manabe. And of course, they're they did a fantastic job in this episode. This was a very, very, very good looking episode. And even if you don't like the episode, that's okay. Visually, the episode was great. But as far as criticizing this episode goes, production wise, like visually and the music was fine. It was great. Like that stuff I thought was fantastic. The fight was a lot of fun, but I do have questions about certain things that I thought were kind of weird. So Goku goes into, I'll get to that in a minute. Goku goes into a fighting stance, and Kefla prepares his big blast. The energy now looks like it's more so glowing off of his body, like lit up, more than just actually energy being more liquidy. She attacks, but she misses, and the big portion of this fight is Kefla attacking and Goku dodging. And of course, Goku is dodging instinctually. Really good display of speed here. Goku moving, using Ultra Instinct to not get hit. And now we have an interesting moment here where Vegeta remembers the training that he had with Whis during the Resurrection F arc and the movie, whichever one you want to take, and what Whis told them about letting your body move for itself, which I covered in a video weeks ago. So it's all linked up. I mean, the series pretty much proved that there is a connection here now officially between Ultra Instinct and what Whis told them before. So Kefla does these big red ki blasts. Goku's dodging them. He's moving very passively too. He has his hands down. Again, it's all instinctual. He's not thinking when he moves because that is the Ultra Instinct. Then he does this move where it was kind of fast and hard for me to catch. So I'm going to watch the episode again later tonight and really... and probably tomorrow morning I want to watch it again and really see if I can catch what happened. But it looked like he used his eyes, but I couldn't tell if it was his eyes or a punch. It was really fast. I might watch it in slow-mo, just that scene, to see how it looked, because I thought it was pretty cool. So Goku actually refers to the move as, the power-up, as Migate no Gokui. So it's interesting because, he tells Kefla, he's like, I'm getting the hang of this, even though I haven't got the hang of it yet. Something like that. And it's interesting because, at this point, Goku's no longer in that zombified state like he was the first time in episode 110, when he was kind of a zombie. Here it looks like he's starting to get it. He's starting to really gain control of his senses. Now, this, of course, awakens Jiren. It triggers Jiren, who wakes up. He immediately jumps over to where Toppo and Dispo are, and then some of the gods actually see this and they comment on it. And Dispo and Toppo are, wondering if this dude, was it Goku that woke you up? And I'm pretty sure it was. Goku and Kefla, of course, talk trash. They keep fighting. Goku quickly gets behind Kefla and starts to rain down these shots at her. But this was banked Naoki Tate animation from episode 110. I recognized it. He knocks her to the ground. He goes in for a shot, goes behind her, kicks her hard. Goku punches the air. There's a shot here where Goku punches the air, and the punch power, like the punch went through the air and hit her, even though she was like far away from her or far away from him. It was sort of like what Hit does, where he does that punch and he can somehow make the air sort of put pressure into the oxygen to hit you. It was like that. Like it was a long range punch. I thought that was a cool freaking move. So Goku's body begins to pulsate a little bit, like swell up and whatnot, and then they play the song, the ultimate fight song from episode 110. Dun, 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 dun. That song? I love that song. And in this fight, in this episode, they played like a different version of the song. It was like the second verse or something. It wasn't the same lyrics, even though some of the lyrics were the same. That was kind of cool. They haven't released that full-length version of that song yet on a soundtrack, but I'm sure they will eventually. Don't even worry about that. We'll get that full song soon. So the big climax of the episode, Kale powers up, and I mean for real this time. Huge glowing red energy everywhere. Mountains are being taken down. Huge power being given off. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, are they going to unfuse? Because we know that if you're in fusion, based on what happened with Vegito against Merge Zamasu, if you use a lot of your power, you're going to end up, running your fusion time down. So I'm wondering, if Kefla's giving off all this energy, all this power, how is she not unfusing? Well, the only thing that makes sense to me is that because the Tournament of Power and the time that goes by is so slow, it's like 1 minute or so per episode, that maybe she hasn't hit that time limit yet as far as her power goes, but I still find it very weird. No matter what, I could sit here and I could tell you that, the time in Dragon Ball Super is a mess, and it is. Like, you can't even deny that. The whole joke about this tournament being such and such episodes and only being 48 minutes, it's a joke. I mean, it really is, and it's kind of, annoying when you think about it sometimes. I'll be honest with you. I just try to just say whatever. I don't overly think too hard on that because this is just Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball's never been that great. I mean, Frieza, the 5 minutes on Planet Namek with Frieza was already enough to tell you that. Same thing here. So it is an inconsistency, but it's also one that is something that's inconsistent within just Super. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. In episode 66, we saw Vegito for about, what, 8 minutes or so? I don't remember the exact time he was in there, but it was about 8 minutes of screen time, maybe less than that. We've seen Kefla now for what, 2 episodes? Two episodes in a few minutes. That's weird to me. Like, you know what I mean? That's weird that it's like that. I mean, I know there's going to be somebody who's probably going to say, well, they're past the speed of light, blah, blah, blah. I get all that, but it's just weird that the Kefla fusion seems to be more stable. But then again, maybe it has to do with Vegito using God Ki. I mean, that could be it. I don't know. I'm not going to give you an explanation until the series does, but it was just weird that Kefla was doing this great power-up. It was a huge power-up. It was huge. Like, there was energy everywhere, and she didn't defuse. Now, what happens is she fires these crazy ki blasts at Goku, just crazy stuff, and Goku's dodging them. Now, this is an amazing sequence. This is a really amazing sequence, one of my absolute favorites from this arc. He's dodging the ki blast, flipping around, moving, and while he's dodging, he's preparing a Kamehameha. So she just lets out a whole bunch of energy. Goku's jumping around on rocks, still preparing the Kamehameha. She's like, I'm going to hit you with everything, blasting away. She's using up all of her energy. Now, I'm over here thinking, is she going to do Super Saiyan 3? Because remember, Kefla and Kale have this thing where they want to do SS3. Did not happen. Huge, huge, huge stuff here. Lots of energy. Goku's dodging all these shots. Then she prepares this big, giant red and green blast, and she fires it. Goku hops over it, sort of slides over it, gets right in her face, and fires a Kamehameha at point-blank range right in her face, bro. Right in her face, brothers and sisters. This was crazy. And then this big blast was so huge that it knocked a huge hole in the side of the stadium. It cracked and broke the entire stadium. And as Kefla and Kale are flying out, the Potara breaks. They defuse. Kefla and Kale are eliminated. I knew it. When I saw the spoilers for next week's episode, and I saw no mention of Kefla and Kale, I had an instinct, not an ultra instinct, but I had an instinctual feeling that Kefla and Kale are done in this episode because there was no mention of them. And I was right. I prognosticated correctly. Kefla is out. So now, Universe 6 is down to 2 Namekians, and boy, are they screwed. So Kale apologizes, but Kefla's really mad. These 2 Namekians, brother, I don't think things are not looking good for Universe 6 at all. So Whis mentions that Goku using the Kamehameha was a good idea because he could charge it up while he was dodging, but his physical body is still not where it should be. He has to work on that. And that's kind of the last shot of the episode is Goku collapses and his energy's kind of dissipating and he's back in his base form and he's clutching his chest. He still cannot maintain the form. Frieza notices this. He notices Goku, and his troubles, and Vegeta says he wants to do Ultra Instinct before Goku. He wants to master it before Goku. Already covered that in the video. I think that Vegeta at some point will get it. Maybe not in this arc, but I think he's going to get it. So, again, Goku's very exhausted, and the 4-episode mini arc within the arc, the Goku versus Kefla and Kale portion, is over. Next week, we move on to the androids versus Universe 2. Let's see where that story goes, because Jiren is indeed awake now. Now, Whis states that the issue with Ultra Instinct is that he can dodge instinctually, but he still can't attack. And as a result of that, he's still thinking. So his dodging is good, but his attacks are still not that great. So again, like I said at the beginning of this video, the story is that Goku is evolving with Ultra Instinct, but he still has not mastered it yet. Presumably speaking, he will master it by the end of this arc. Maybe. I guess that makes the most sense. I, for one, really did enjoy this episode because it was visually pleasing. The fight was fun. Seeing Ultra Instinct and the music again was cool. And I look forward to seeing where it goes next. I mean, story-wise, it wasn't the best written episode, but it wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be kind of the final chapter, the final stand for Kefla and Kale. And so it had like that whole kind of, final battle vibe. So I thought it worked for what it was. Give me your thoughts in the comments about this episode and what you think about the elimination of Kefla. And don't forget, Verve is the official sponsor of these reviews. You can watch Dragon Ball Super on there. It's owned by the same company that owns Crunchyroll. And if you already have a Crunchyroll account or a Funimation account, you can merge it with the Verve account and watch everything on one platform. So you don't have to have all these different apps. You can watch everything on one. And there's tons of other stuff there, including movies, Rooster Teeth, Geek and Sundry, Cartoon Hangover. It's basically like its own group of channels, and there's more being added all the time. Check that out. Thank you so very much for checking out the video, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow as we preview 117.